Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am so excited because we're going to be playing with the new Glaminatrix Cosmetics Nearly Natural palette, and this is a revamped version of a palette that I already absolutely love from Glaminatrix. I have the original, the OG right here, and I have just raved about this for a really long time, and I've been like, I know it's coming back. I know that they're doing something with it. I know you can't get it right now, but it is such a good palette and it is finally here. So I really wanted to go ahead and do a swatch party of the new palette because we do have more shades than previously. We're going to just kind of ooh and ah about each thing that's happening in this, just if you're interested in this palette as its own separate entity, and then we're going to compare between the original and the new. Maybe you already own this one and you want to see the difference, or you've heard a bunch of people rave about this and you want to know if this is as good. Hopefully my comparison will help you with that. I absolutely love the new packaging. Like, it's just so pretty and it's just like a soft feminine vibe. I think it's so cute. This is already available now if you're interested in purchasing, and I do have an affiliate code with Glaminatrix Cosmetics. It's just AMYLOVES. That's my code for all the indie brands that I love. Let me just open her up, show you what she looks like. So here we have the new Nearly Natural. We've got a row of just like light shimmers, light mattes, medium tone shimmers, and medium to deep mattes. Really, really love the organization happening there. And then this is the original, which obviously you can tell has bigger pans, but also 5 less shades, and it's a little bit more disorganized. I don't know, I kind of like the aesthetic of the inside of the older one more, but the outside of the new one more. I feel like you can really see how intense all these shimmers are. You can see that it's been a pretty well-loved palette for me. I definitely feel like we should go section by section. So starting off with the light shimmers, we have Naked Eye, which is just a really beautiful, very pale, kind of icy white shade. If my camera would focus, that'd be great. We've got Stripped Back, which this is more of a icy lavender tone. Unveiled, which is a really, really beautiful pink with a little bit of warmth to it. Right off the bat, I don't know if these feel as sparkly as the original shades. I'm so curious to compare them. Okay, that looks pretty good. We've got Sultry, which that one does look like a really sparkly, kind of bronzy nude type shade. We've got Nearly Natural, which is a little bit more of like a rosy bronze. And then starting off with the light mattes, we've got Pure, which is basically just a beige. Okay. And none of these shimmers so far have any shifts or anything to them. They're just really beautiful metallic nudes. Next we have Solace, which looks like a really beautiful kind of taupey beige. Barely There, a very soft, warm transition type matte. Serene, a little bit more of a neutral brown, slightly more depth than Barely There. And then Untouched, which is a little bit more of like a rosy tone. All of the mattes feel super, super smooth, soft to the touch. Okay. I don't know how well some of these mattes are going to show up on every skin tone because they are showing up pretty pale, even on me. But I think that they could be, like I said, really nice transition shades to get into the deeper mattes. So there is the first half of the palette so far. All of the light shimmers and light mattes. Really, really beautiful. Let's do the second half. So now we have the shade New Nude, which this looks like it's just a classic gold shimmer. We've got Exposed, which is a little bit more of a greeny gold, super pretty again. Just a really thin, sparkly formula, very shiny. We've got Raw, which I would describe as kind of like a rosy copper tone. Okay. Looks really pretty. Just really catching the light nicely. We have Second Skin, which is a true copper, I would say. It's a nice rich bronze. And then Smolder. Ooh, that is so sparkly and intense. It's like the prettiest sparkly black shade. We've got Essence, which is a very grungy kind of yellowy green matte. Oh my goodness, that is so pretty. Don't go out of focus. Don't do that to me. Look at that shade. That is gorgeous. Next we have Down to Earth, which looks a little bit less yellow, a little bit more green than the previous matte. Super pretty. Naturally, it's a really red toned matte brown. Oops. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of fallout from the green. You can see it going into the brown. We've got Disrobe, which is a neutral deep matte brown, and then Cinder, which is a deep, super pigmented matte black. And again, even though we're getting a lot more depth here, the mattes feel very, very soft. So pretty. Okay. See, again, a little bit of fallout there, so I definitely recommend tapping off your brush with these. So there you have it. That is the whole palette swatched out. I almost feel like it's going a slightly different direction. Like it has, I don't know, a little bit more grunginess to it, a little bit less like nude natural vibes with the colors that were added on. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but let's go ahead and start comparing. Okay, the really nice thing about these two palettes is that they have the same names, so it's very easy to compare. So starting off, we have Naked Eye from the new palette and Naked Eye from the old palette. The new palette, Naked Eye, is a pretty different color. It's a lot more white, a lot more icy, so pretty different vibes. There's new and there's old. The old one is a little bit more soft to the touch, but it could also just be that, you know, it's an older palette. It's not like the freshest formula, so it could have changed over time. But yes, definitely, I would say, even though it's the same name, it looks like a different shade. Next we have Stripped Back from the new palette, which I'm gonna say way more purple than the old palette. The old is a little bit more gray. Here's new, here's old, but not quite the same. I feel like the older one looks a little bit more of like that nearly natural vibe, whereas this is more like very purple. Next we have the shade Unveiled, which is that pink tone. So pretty. One of my favorite shades in the palette. Here's the original Unveiled. Again, pretty different. I feel like the original has way more peachiness to it. Slightly different tones. So here's the new and here's the old. Again, yep. I don't know, maybe they got complaints that like these shades were too similar to each other, but to me it made sense for the palette because now it's like bam pink, bam purple versus like it's like, oh, it's nearly pink, it's nearly purple. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm overthinking it, but there's the comparison. Okay, we have the shade Sultry here, which is not in the palette, not in the old palette, but Sultry kind of looks like the old version of Naked Eye. I'm just gonna do Sultry right here. Yep, that looks way more similar. We've got Nearly Natural, new palette, and the Nearly Natural from the old palette. The old one, I think I have a preference to this. It's just so sparkly. These are pretty similar, maybe just a touch more orangey for the new one, but they're pretty close. But the old one is a little bit more sparkly. So here is new and here is old for the shade Nearly Natural. Moving on to the lighter mattes, the shade Pure, we don't have anything similar in the old palette. The shade Solace, again, is a brand new shade. Barely There, we do have, here's new and old. I would say the texture feels the same. There's the new and the old. Oh, the old actually looks more pigmented. We have the shade Serene, which technically we do not have the same shade in here, but I think it might be close to Nothing to See, and maybe Nothing to See was just too long of a name to fit right here. I'm not sure. I'm going to compare those two though. So Serene and Nothing to See. Serene, Nothing to See. Kind of similar, not exactly the same. And then we also have the shade Simplicity, which did not make it into this palette either. Let's do Simplicity right here. We have New Nude, which is that soft kind of golden shade. Here's the new palette versus the old palette. The new palette has maybe a touch more warmth to it. New, old. Again, I feel like the old is a little bit more subtle. New is a little bit more like, bam, this is gold. We have Exposed, new versus old. New and old. Okay, those two might be the most similar shades I've seen yet so far, where they're pretty much just spot on repeating. Got Raw New and Raw Old. Okay, new, old. Maybe the new one's just a little bit more orange. Pretty similar. Second Skin New and Second Skin Old. New and old. Okay, again, this new one a little bit more orangey, a little bit brighter. And then the shade Smolder, we don't have anything quite like that in this palette. But almost, I feel like these two shades don't quite make sense. It's like they're here because it's a neutral palette, so you've got that cool toneness. But I don't know that they make sense for like that nearly natural vibe. The more I'm playing with these together, I'm like, I feel like this is a beautiful palette by itself. But if we're comparing, if it's a perfect revision, I feel like this was already perfect to begin with. I really, really like the color story as it was and what it was doing. Yes, so I don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna love the new version as much as I love the old version. Now into those last row of mattes, we have Essence, which is a new shade. We have Down to Earth, which is a repeat. So here's new Down to Earth and old Down to Earth. I feel like the old one definitely more muted. New, old. We have the new Naturally and the old Naturally. Did I do Untouched? I just, like, I'm looking at these two now and I'm like, did I forget that shade? I can't remember. I'm gonna do it again just in case. Okay, here's new Naturally and old Naturally. I think the older one actually has a little bit more pigment to it. And then just to show you the new Untouched and the old Untouched, because I feel like I skipped this shade for some reason. New and old. The last repeating shade, we have Disrobe New and Disrobe Old. So there's new and there's old. I feel like the older one is a little bit more neutral, less warmth to it, a little bit deeper. But it kind of makes sense because it's like a brownie black. It takes place of like both of these two shades together, like by itself. Okay, so just to show you, let's swatch all the shades that are new together, because I'm wanting to say that if you already own the Nearly Natural palette and you're happy with it, I would just stick with this. I would not purchase the new version. You know, I don't feel like it's necessary to have both by any means. I feel like I like the older version more, but I just want to show you exactly what you're getting different by itself from this palette, like the specific shades. So like I said, we've got Pure and Solace. These both are not in the other palette. And even though technically Naked Eye and Naked Eye are both there, I feel like this shade is different. So I would include that as something different. So there's 3 lighter shades. You've got Essence, you've got Smolder, and you've got Cinder. So those are what has essentially been added, even though, like I said, there's a lot of shades in the OG that are more subtle than they are over here. So yeah, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. If you feel like this was a good revision, I would love to hear your thoughts. I have swatches pretty much everywhere right now, so I think it is time to go. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye!